Welcome back to the final episode of our DIY Christmas series. In this video, we're going to show you how we built this DIY gaming table using an Osborne table-based kit, as well as our 4-quarter true stock. This table features an interchangeable top that we can transfer back into a standard dining table. So stay tuned for some tips and tricks, and we'll be right back. Okay, so as always, before we get started, let's go ahead and take a look at everything that we're going to be using today for this project. Now, this game table is going to feature our new Enio dining table leg, part 232668. This is a really unique profile on this dining table leg, and I really think that it's going to fit our game table well. To make this project a little bit easier, we've made the main portion of our table just as a standard Osborne table-based kit. So we designed this on our website using the table-based builder. I'll leave a link below to that if you want to design your own. We made ours a 36" by 36" square base. That's going to allow us to have a 2-foot playing surface in the middle of our table. So the first step is just to assemble our table-based kit. If you're interested in learning more about that process, you can reference this video above. Okay, so now that our table-based kit is fully assembled, we're ready to go ahead and start cutting the pieces for our top rail. As I mentioned, we're going to be using the 4x1 true stock from Osborne. This is part 39641. This is the 96" version. We also have a 48" version available. I'll leave a link to both of those and you can go check those out for your projects. It's great S4S lumber that is perfect for various DIY projects. We've got 2 of these 96" pieces to make our main rail system. And since we're going to be mitering, let's go ahead and take a look at the measurements we need for these cuts. So the outside dimensions of our table-based kit from corner to corner is 31 7/8. So I want to make the widest part of my miter cut at 31 7/8. That way I'm getting flush with that board there. And then we're going to glue all that up. And you can also reference the cut list if you're interested in creating something similar. Okay, so here's our mitered rail cut to the proper dimensions. So we're gonna go ahead and glue these miters up and treat it like a tabletop, and then once everything is dry, we can just take our table-based kit and set it on top of this rail, and that way everything is staying square. Now for our playing surface, we picked up this sheet of 2x2 plywood. This is 1/2" pine. We're gonna be wrapping it in this felt fabric that we have. We chose to go with a black fabric, but you could go with a green if you want that traditional poker style table. To attach our fabric to the top, we're gonna be using this spray adhesive, as well as a few staples on the back. So the first step for this is just to pick out the side that is smoothest. So this here is the smoothest. I'm gonna choose this as my top. We have plenty of fabric here, so I'm just gonna kinda lay it out and then set my surface on top, just to get an idea of how much I'll need to cut. I think that's pretty good there, so I'm just gonna cut this excess off. All right, and before we move on, I'm gonna remove my fabric and get ready to spray this down with some of our adhesive. I'm just gonna coat my plywood top just to the liberal layer. And I do suggest wearing a mask as you use this. This stuff is pretty strong smelling. And this is just gonna ensure that our felt does not bubble up over time. We're just gonna lay our fabric over the top, and we just wanna apply pressure to that fabric before flipping it over, just to make sure that glue has set in. All right, once we've got our glue on top, just take our stapler and add a few staples there. Just make sure we're pulling it tight. And for my corners, I'm just doing a simple fold. Okay, so here we have our top rails and I have the bottom side facing up. I'm gonna show you really quickly how we're going to install our game playing surface. Now what we're gonna do is allow our playing surface to float inside of our rail system. It's a nice snug fit since this is the exact size of our plywood surface that we just wrapped. And I want to be able to add a different top end if I want to turn this back into a regular dining table. Now what we've done is cut the rest of our 4x1 true stock from Osborne into these 15" pieces that we can attach here. And that allows us to set our playing surface on these and give it some support and be able to remove it if we want to add a different top as well. We are going to be using a longer 1 3/4 screw. So I am going to go ahead and just pre-drill to ensure that I'm not going to split or crack any of that wood. And I'll go ahead and demonstrate how this top system is going to work. So you can see this is the top of my rail. So all I have to do is just insert my playing surface, and that's just floating there. It's a nice tight fit, and I think it's a really good presentation. All right, so I've got my table base set on top of my rails and got it spaced exactly where I needed it. I've made sure it's flush with the outside of my legs. And the great thing about using this base as the main part of our table is we can attach it just as we would any other kit from Osborne. All right, so before we install our playing surface, we're gonna go ahead and finish this assembly here just to avoid getting any of our stain onto our fabric. Now that our table is finished, we can just take our playing surface and set that on the mounts that we made. All right, so that's gonna wrap it up for this game table as well as our DIY Christmas series. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I love how this table turned out. As I mentioned, this started as a standard Osborne table base that we modified very easily just to turn it into an interchangeable gaming table. And we can just pop this playing surface right out and add it back to a standard dining table if we wanted to. We hope you have a Merry Christmas. If you're interested in checking out more of the products that we use in this build, be sure to check out the description below. As always, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment, and we'll see you next year on the Builder Studio.